Hey everybody, welcome into another edition of Dodgers Wrap 360 right here on AfterBuzz TV. Going live on Sunday nights. This is the end of May. Memorial Day is tomorrow, May 29th. Dodgers go 5-1 this week against the Reds and the Mets. We've got a lot to talk about. Today's game, obviously the primetime Sunday night game in New York, plus the rest of the week and the week ahead for the boys in blue. Stay tuned with us right now for that right here on AfterBuzz TV.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
What's going on, guys? This is Dodgers Wrap 360 here on AfterBuzz TV. Joined by
you don't have any
joined by
music,
an adult and a preteen. Lot to talk about with the Dodgers. They went 5-1 this week. I'm Bobby DeMuro. Gentlemen, introduce yourselves so the folks who are listening to the podcast know your name.
Hi, Mike Conley. There's probably a Twitter handle for me that goes to Mike Conley of the Memphis Grizzlies right below me, but you can catch me on Red Sox Wrap 360 right here in the AfterBuzz networks. Hi.
And I am Joshua Gershon. My Twitter handle is @Gersh13. Don't confuse me with the college basketball recruiter, Josh Gershon.
Wait, so you guys both have sports like doppelganger name twins? Weird.
What about, don't you have a doppelganger of a American League umpire?
Well, Mike DeMuro, but
Mike
there's
DeMuro.
also one Robert De Niro. Perhaps you've heard of him.
Wow, yes. Nobody is making that confusion.
Really?
Anyways,
I get it all the time.
You are looking, like you might be 70, but, I haven't seen you in a while. Oh.
Go.
Oh, boy.
We're going to do the show at 2. Hey, Dodgers 5-1 this
How
week.
about those Dodgers?
Very good week. Let's do some housekeeping on the Reds first before we get to this weekend series with the Mets.
Here's what I'd like to say about the Reds.
Okay.
Thank God for the Reds.
Thank God for the Reds. And I think wouldn't it just be great if anytime you were kind of having a tough week like the Dodgers did last week, you could put up like a bat signal that was like a red C, and the Reds would come to town for a 3-game set?
Are you describing a slump buster but for baseball?
Yes, that's exactly what I am. There's no better slump buster than the Cincinnati Reds. This
Well,
year.
the Braves are the better one.
Well, the Braves are beyond.
Wait, who's the worst team?
The Braves.
The Braves?
Braves, Reds, Brewers are good ones. You got a decent one in the division in San Diego.
But currently, well, that didn't work too well when
didn't.
they took 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers last week. But but the Reds, currently, I think they've dropped like 10 out of their last 11 or something, something crazy.
Yeah,
like that.
Reds are hot garbage. Reds are going to be hot garbage for like 5 years.
Big selling. Who wants Jay Bruce?
Their plan is a bad plan. But okay, so 3 games, 3 wins. You did what you should have done. You never, we talked about this a lot last year on this show when Mike and I were doing it. You can't ever expect a home sweep. I think that's unrealistic ultimately in the long run. But when you get them, and when you get the Reds, you got to take advantage of it, and they did. Yeah, so you did what you had to do, and that's a great thing, and you go 3-0.
Yeah, even though they get 1 run for Kirsch, but obviously he makes it hold up. Didn't quite hold up today, but what are you going to do?
Well, it held up enough to keep him in the game to eventually
That's
win.
True.
So
That's
is Kirsch with the Reds game, with this game, 105 strikeouts, 5 walks this season? That's video game.
Ludicrous.
That's stupid.
Ludicrous.
Is he? I mean, not only is he the best pitcher right now in baseball, because this month he's the hottest one going right now. Is this the generational pitcher of this generation? Is there anybody better in this prime in the last 5, 8, 10 years?
Not this long.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Lincecum was great for 4 years. He was amazing, and then fell off the table. Arrieta's starting now. You haven't had anyone with this kind of dominant. Greinke, when he went to the Angels, was not that great. Was okay. I don't think there's anyone this dominant. Just the dominance.
Yeah,
it's got to be him. Yeah, and especially when you look at his regular season numbers. The only thing when you start throwing around that generational tag, he's got to just show me a little bit more in the playoffs.
It's the John Elway where once you finally get over the hump, even if it's late in your career, and you
all
win
your
one,
accolades look that much more shiny.
I understand that, but at the same time, this guy is doing what no one in the last 15 years I can think about has done on the long term. I think you're right. CC Sabathia in the short term has had ridiculous time. You know, Bartolo Colon in the prime of his career, and then his resurgence even has had some ridiculous times. But Kershaw is on a completely different
Just
level.
the day in and day out dominance of
Every
Kershaw.
every fifth day. And I think you look at a guy like Noah Syndergaard and you say that guy could be what Kershaw is right now in another 7 years. But even then, it's like what he's doing on the mound, what Clayton Kershaw's doing on the mound is art. The way he's carving people up right now. It's not even right now. For the last 6 years, what he's been doing is art. The way he's been carving people up.
Yeah, we were talking about a little earlier this season, like when the Giants were in town, and I was just thinking when Kersh faced Buster Posey, you could be looking at, you know, one of the top 10 pitches of all time pitching to one of the top 10 catches of all time, you know, when these guys are all said and done, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like you have to sometimes take pause because these guys are so young, you don't all the time, but you have to take pause and kind of sit back and appreciate that, you know, of how historic, you know, something like that is going on in the NL West, you know.
Even on that team, Madison Bumgarner is such a stud.
Yeah.
But Kershaw is, and this is no shade to Bumgarner, but Kershaw is still a level beyond him. And I think even a Giants fan who's being fair would agree with that, you know. And Bumgarner's a 10 out of 10, and Kershaw's about an 11.5. It's just that level.
Well, that Giants fan is also going to say rings.
Absolutely, but rings are not Bumgarner alone. I know he did what he did
Right.
as a reliever in Game 6 or whatever, you know, against the Royals, and that is, I mean, you can't for sure. That's huge.
And his best days have shown up on the biggest stage.
Yeah.
You know, and Kersh can't quite say that just yet. So.
But it's tough because you can't with Kersh or anybody else, any one player. You can't put the team on them. This isn't quite like football's a team sport, but a quarterback has far more significant of a hold over how that team does than even a starting pitcher in baseball. Kershaw could be nails. He could go to the playoffs and be nails all year, but if the Dodgers can't score and he winds up with no decisions, what are you left with?
And
You know?
a couple years ago against the Cardinals, he pitched great in St. Louis, lost 1-0.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you gonna do?
Right.
And then everybody remembers, what was it, 2 years ago?
When he
whatever,
got, when he got
blew
hammered,
up.
yeah, when he got blown out by the Cardinals. But just the year before, he pitched great, and they couldn't score for him.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, right now they have the fourth best ERA in the National League. Why aren't they where the Giants are? Why aren't they 6 games above 500?
Oh God, let's talk about that. Yeah, look, even with the Cincinnati Reds sweep, even with winning 2 out of 3 in New York, which is huge. New York's a good team.
Yeah.
Chicago coming up is a good team. Even with that, you're what, 28 and 24 right now? Is that the record? I think they're 4 over.
Yeah, I think so.
Sounds about right.
It's early. Like, I don't look at standings. We talk about this on the Red Sox. I don't care about standings until it's August. I really don't. But you look at it and you say, why are you 28 and 24? Well, the rotation is not as good as people want to think it is. You lose Greinke, and of course it's not going to be.
Right.
Ryu is a ghost. I mean, we may never see that guy again. You know, at least not who he was when he was decent. What, 12 years ago or whatever he pitched last.
He hasn't pitched since 2004, the NLDS in 2014.
It's absurd. I mean, and I feel for the guy. Like, he's not, you know, it's not like he doesn't want to pitch, but it's just, my God, you know. And then you got guys like Ross Stripling who are really promising for what they are, but they ain't there yet. It's going to take a while to get there.
Yeah.
You know, and
at his height, he's going to be like a number 4 starter.
Exactly. And if you can get a good number 4, that's wonderful. Like, that's a huge haul. But it's just not, it's not the same thing. Maeda.
Ryu had a setback, right, this week.
Yeah.
What was it? A knee?
No soreness.
Shoulder.
soreness.
Oh, boy.
And that's the thing. It's a shoulder. I mean, elbows at this point, they're not foolproof, but you get Tommy John and you're probably going to come, you know, you got a 90% chance to come back or whatever the statistic is.
Right.
Shoulder stuff, man, I don't know.
Yeah.
You just can't mess with it. It's real tough. Maeda's was real good at the start of the year, and then lately has kind of already hit a little bit of a wall. Part of that?
Yeah. It seems like, you know, he's really good the first 2 times through, and you could say this about Stripling, too.
Yeah.
But once they get to that third, it's like, so he's coming in and you're seeing, like, now he's going 5, maybe 6 innings, as opposed to early year, maybe when guys didn't really have him down and he was going like 7 or 8. But he's still been great, especially for the team-friendly contract they got him for.
Yeah.
He's been great, and he's been your second best pitcher.
Well, and welcome to the big leagues. When you're in the big leagues, you're going to have to go through 3 times. You're going to have to face, if you're a good starter, you're going to have to face 32 hitters every night.
And which I argued when they had Maeda, if he gives you 6 innings, that's exactly what Greinke gave you. Greinke very rarely went into the 7th inning, very rarely. You know, and he maxed out at 7.
He just had 12 Ks in 6 innings. That's why it looks so impressive.
Yeah, like Kazmir.
Much like Kazmir.
Kazmir this week, yeah. But if Maeda can give us that 2 runs or less 6 innings. I'm happy with that. I mean, is it Greinke numbers? No, but that sets you up for a win.
Well, it would, but the bullpen's hot garbage. That's the real issue. When you don't score, maybe like you think you should be scoring, like the Dodgers sometimes do. Like they'll sometimes go into these little mini droughts. And when your starting pitching is generally as proficient as it is, Alex Wood's been fine. You know, Scott Kazmir's been. I know people are all over Scott Kazmir, but when you take him into context of the whole thing, it's like, this is kind of, what did you expect?
Yeah.
This is what you expected.
He's going to have a 3.5 ERA. You know, probably by the end of the year, 3.5 to 4.
Yeah.
That's kind of what he does. But that's a quality start. You're getting quality innings out of him. You know, he's an innings eater if you leave him out there a little bit. But it's they do not. We were talking about it earlier. Their situational hitting is so terrible.
Well, that's the thing. But even with Kazmir, he shouldn't have been a starter. Ryu should have been around. Brett Anderson should have been around. You could have used Bolsinger, and for some reason they are so down on Bolsinger after he's done nothing but pitch proficiently the last
He
year
pitched
or
good
whatever.
this week in the win this week against the Reds.
But you have so many of these guys that now you have Julio Urias who's here, who we'll talk about in a separate thing.
Oh, yeah.
But you have so many of these guys. It's like Kazmir shouldn't have probably been in this rotation at the start of the year, but because of the way everything worked out with Anderson and Ryu and these guys, he's here. And
I don't know. I mean, if you sign a guy to a 3-year, $39 million,
they signed him real late, though. Remember that.
Yeah,
they signed him late, anticipating this with Ryu.
Yeah, they signed him when they realized Ryu was not coming back.
Yeah.
That was when we need another starter.
Yeah.
The price should be right on this guy. He's pitched in the independent league like 5 years ago.
But that's the thing too, is 3 years. Excuse me, whatever. It's 3 years and $39 million. Whatever that contract is, $13 million for a pitcher a year. That's nothing.
Yeah.
Especially for the Dodgers. But that's chump change. You're going to get a number 3 starter for $13 million a year because that's the way baseball works. The problem is that bullpen. You cannot bridge from anybody to Jansen.
That's
because
the thing.
Chris Hatcher is a disaster. Pedro Baez is a rhythm disaster and a pace of play disaster. it's JP Howell last year. I hate to say this, but his numbers were amazing last year.
I said that. It was very deceiving.
It's the quietest 1 ERA or whatever because he never got the biggest lefty in the biggest situation. He got the second biggest lefty in the second biggest situation.
Or he put people on base that didn't score for him. Other people got the earned runs. He didn't get them. His holds were terrible.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not just on Howell, but all these guys to try to bridge the gap to Jansen. What do you do? I mean,
You're rolling the dice.
You are. I mean, you have to go get relievers at some point and say, we need to make this more automatic. We cannot waste Kershaw and Maeda and all these starts, especially in Kershaw's prime, and not have relievers to back this up.
It's true.
You know?
But it's like, that's why we were talking a little bit about, especially with Urias coming up, and he's going to be on Urias or however you say it.
Urias.
I've been trying to listen to Alano Rizzo this week, and I think she keeps rolling the ah, and I'm like, I haven't pronounced it since I was born.
The official,
how am I going to roll it?
The official
now?
pronunciation I got from the Oklahoma City guys was it is Julio Urias.
Urias, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what Charlie Steiner was saying.
Yeah.
Urias. But where he's going to be a guy you're taking, dealing with kid gloves with this kid, and really monitor his innings and stuff where he's so young. Why bring him up as a starter, especially when you're hurting so much in the bullpen? And I kind of reckoned it to when David Price first came up with Tampa in 07, I want to say it was, maybe 08. And I think it was 08. And they had him didn't come up till he was a September call up, and they used him out of the pen, and he was lights out. And it was just okay. By the way, our bullpen, which was already pretty good, we now have a lefty that throws 95 and has great command. And the Red Sox played them in the pennant that year, and he was lights out first time. I think there's a very good opportunity to use Urias in a similar fashion.
The only difference, and it's a big one, is Price was a college guy at a big college at Vanderbilt and came in more mature and came in at 23 or whatever and came in real polished. And Urias is 11 years old. And so I don't know if you want to transition him like that because he's only ever been a starter in the minors. Yeah. And they've treated him with kid gloves in the minors as they should have. But I don't know if you want to transition him to the pen. If he blows a few saves, if he blows a few eighth innings, and then you say, hey, kid, you still got your confidence? That's tough to do to a guy who hasn't seen it the same way. Price was in the College World Series and won a national championship. So he was as nails could be coming into pro ball.
Yeah.
Urias was in Mexico until he was 14, 15, and the Dodgers signed him.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a
But
tough
hey,
deal.
he's up.
Yeah, he's up now.
So you're using him.
I think he's going to get sent back down.
Once because he's taking Wood's spot, right? Because
Yes,
Wood's a little dinged up.
But Wood's pitching his next start he's starting against the Cubs.
Okay. Do you leave Bolsinger up?
Do you? Who do you put down then? Probably Ross Stripling goes before Urias, I assume.
I really think they're going to send Urias back.
I would be surprised if they did, only because with somebody that young, if they're really serious about bringing him up, and they obviously are, if they brought him up to frickin' New York. They didn't give him a home game against the Reds to start on.
Yeah.
They didn't give him a home game next week against the Rockies and say, hey, get your feet wet in an easy situation.
Yeah.
This was in New York against the Mets on a Friday night. And they were like, hey, buddy, welcome to the Major Leagues.
Yeah, we'll throw you in the
know?
mix. Let's just see where this kid's at.
In an ideal world, I think they keep him up to stay. Not that he's going to be Fernando Valenzuela, because he won't. All chances are that he won't. But I think they keep him up to stay until it gets to the point. 1 or 2 bad starts is fine. But if he has 3 or 4 in a row, then maybe they say, okay, go back. You got the taste.
Yeah.
Go back to Oklahoma City. We're either going to need you in September or we're going to need you hardcore opening day next year. You're going to need to be our number 2 or number 3 or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, especially when Ryu announces he can't pitch anymore by the beginning of next year.
Yeah, I think, and that's a serious thing that's one of my predictions.
I said it at the beginning of the year. I said I doubt we'll see him pitch.
You may never again, as sad as it is.
That's putting a lot on a will-be 20-year-old next opening day if he's coming in as the number 2 starter.
Well, I mean, Maeda. You can call him the number 3, whatever it is, Maeda. Yeah. And I don't know Wood's contract situation, but that's a perfect guy as like a number 4, number 5.
Right.
And then Stripling and Bolsinger and all these guys just kind of hang out.
And De Leon will be. I think De Leon will get called up in September. Yeah. That's for sure. And he's another one they can bring out of the pen if they want to bring someone along.
Yeah.
Because he's a little more mature, right? I think he's 21, 22.
Yeah.
Something like that. You bring him along, come out of the pen, kind of the way the Cardinals did with Waka and Carlos Martinez. Similar to that fashion.
The other 2...
Hey, by September, Brett Anderson will be back in the mix.
Well, the other 2
McCarthy will be back in the mix, too.
Oh, God. The other 2 are Josh Sborz and Grant Holmes. Both those guys. Holmes is a high schooler, I believe, but Josh Sborz was a college guy. He went to UVA or whatever. That's a polished dude, and I believe just a Penn guy in the minors right now. That's a dude, I don't know if he's ready this year, but that's a guy coming next year who's a flamethrower.
What about Cotton? Cotton's the other guy, right? Jarrell
Cotton.
Oh,
He's a
okay,
star.
okay. Yeah. But those guys are further away. Him and Holmes. Holmes is in Rancho right now, and a high school guy in Rancho, so he's 20 or 21. He's like 18 months away. But even so, I mean, the problem is the Dodgers have an embarrassment of riches in pitching and just prospects in general. Right. So what that does for you is, like we were talking about this with prospect stuff, people have to understand with prospects, 50% will not hit.
Right.
100% certainly will not hit. 20% probably won't hit. Go watch Rancho Cucamonga in High A if you're a Dodgers fan in LA. Go watch one of those games in Rancho. You'll see 27 guys on the field or whatever. Maybe
3.
Maybe you were looking at 2 or 3 major leaguers with any sort of value to them. So the thing that you're trying to do is you're not only trying to find the best, you're trying to find the most. And the Dodgers with the international scouting and stuff, my God, do they have the most?
Yeah.
You know, you have 30 guys and you say, well, if 3 hit out of 30, we're looking pretty good because you add that to Kershaw and you add that to Maeda, and all of a sudden we got a hell of a rotation. You know. So and Urias is already a hit. Anybody who makes the major leagues is a hit for sure. You know.
Yeah,
so.
I mean it's good. Like you say, they just put him out there in New York, and it's kind of like baptism by fire for this kid. And you know, he didn't have that good a first inning, but he kind of settled down that second inning.
Anything surprise you in his start, or do you not expect to see? Had you seen him at all? Did you guys see him at all in the minors?
Not really.
Just on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was actually shocked with the walks. We had 4 walks in the 2 and 2/3 innings. That actually shocked him. Giving up the hits, I wasn't really surprised. I mean, it's his first outing. It's going to be a little different. But I was actually shocked about the walks. Because me and my buddies were kind of predicting how long his outing would be, and my friend who said 4 innings with 3 walks and 3 runs was almost dead on. Yeah. But,
you guys were drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit.
But that would actually shock me because I was predicting more of I thought he'd give up 2-3 runs. I thought he'd give up about 5 hits. Maybe 1 walk and strike out about 5. If he went 5 innings, that was kind of my guess. That
would have been an incredible debut.
Yeah,
that was kind of where I was aiming.
Not Fernando-esque, but
yeah, that would have been a really nice debut. But I think that's the thing too, and that's actually a good, kind of a good showcase for what people probably should not think about Julio Urias. He's not going to go 7. He's probably not going to. I mean, he should go 5, but he's not going to do 5 innings, a run on 4 hits and a walk. Like, this kid's 19.
Right.
Like, he's going to develop. He might suck for a couple more starts. If the Dodgers are in it for the long haul, they see it and they keep him around. If they get him back down to Oklahoma City, then they do that too and they let him refine.
So what do you think his cap is as a guy that's going to turn 20 in August?
Cap in innings?
Yeah, 150?
No, it's low.
140?
No, he's only thrown, what, 80? 80 something's the most he's thrown in one season?
No, he hit triple digits last year.
Did he hit
Double A.
triple digits?
I don't know what his
130?
inning cap would be. I'm more interested in his pitch count in a game. Like, what do they cap him at 85 pitches? You know, because that's pretty typical of minor league guys at his age who are usually in high A.
Yeah.
They'll cap him at 6 innings or 85 pitches, whatever happens first.
Right.
And it wouldn't surprise me if the Dodgers had a similar-ish.
I thought I read
rule.
that it was 81 or 82 pitches this
Okay.
game. It was some random number
Yeah.
like that. It wasn't like a set 85, 90. It was like
Yeah.
82 was like his pitch count, his cap.
That makes sense because I think like 2 weeks ago he was throwing a no-hitter and they pulled him
Yeah.
after 6.
But they'll
in
always do
AAA.
that in the minor. Yeah, they don't care. That's
Right.
development.
Right.
But no, I think that's kind of the cap. And sometimes you see
It's one
teams.
thing if it's a 35-year-old Bobby DeMuro making a little run at it one day when back in the Wayback Machine. Boom.
And it's
Been watching a little too many Cali games and he just gets out there.
You speak of that,
makes
but it's
another
different.
run.
Here's a good example. I was watching a Cali game. I was at a Cali game this week, Modesto and High Desert, the Rockies and Rangers franchises. Rockies ran out a 20-year-old who's a big prospect for them. Hard cap at 85 pitches. He got to 83 in like the 6th inning. They pulled him. He was pitching pretty well, and they pulled him with nobody on base. But High Desert's guy was a college guy with a lot more experience who was 23, and he was pitching okay. He threw 97 pitches.
Right.
So you can extend those guys who are older a little bit more or not as valuable. But Urias at 19, they're not going to. You could throw 6 no-hit innings, and what happened to Stripling almost is going to happen to Urias. They're going to be like, no chance are you going to get, go 110 pitches.
Well, and now the biggest fear is going to be, I mean, I know he had Tommy John surgery, but you're going to be worried about Strasburg, Matt Harvey, that kind of issue.
Yeah.
Where if he throws too much in the first year, he's kind of like Strasburg was kind of garbage that second year. He was not as very good. I mean, he's found the stride now, but before.
Well, they held back on Strasburg and they didn't hold back on Harvey. Isn't that kind of the big example?
Well, but
showing
Harvey's
right now?
always been held back. That's the thing. Harvey has always had the Matt Harvey rules. Like, that's what's so weird about him, and that's so maddening. That's why New York is so mad at him. But the flip side with Urias is, yes, do you hold him back or do you risk an injury? Or is he another generational guy like Kershaw, who seemingly throws 700 innings a year? And is just, is this a Kershaw Bumgarner guy, or is this a guy that you want to handle with kid gloves? And it's like, there's no right answer because you won't know the right answer until after you've already done it, obviously. So how do you predict that?
Well, and also if it's like a thing like Fernando, he's going to be fat and pitching in the Mexican League by the time he's 30. It's like maybe the guy is only going to be good for 10 years. So it's like get him up here, get him throwing.
I think those days are gone because Lasorda
No
ran,
burritos between innings.
No, but Lasorda ran Valenzuela into the ground too because he pitched him way too much, way too fast. Lasorda ran everybody into the ground way too fast. Now with all the analytics, you're not going to get someone who runs them into the ground that quickly.
And the money. I mean, these guys are too big investments.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but I don't know. I mean, I'm happy with the debut just to get it out of the way. Like, you get it out of the way, you show enough of who you are in a very tough environment. You don't have a good start, but you don't completely blow up. You don't give up 9 runs in 2 innings and say, holy crap, we got to send them down for 3 more months.
No, considering he put 9 people on base in 2 innings and only let across the few runs is actually pretty amazing.
Kind of battled a little.
I'm not unhappy with that. And then today is icing on the cake. You take 2 out of 3 in New York. Really?
That's huge.
That's incredible. Because you might go to Chicago and you might get swept, but it's a more palatable sweep if it's a 2-4 road trip against 2 very, very good teams.
I was especially excited about it because the Mets were celebrating their '86 team, and so I couldn't watch much of the series. Admittedly, because I was like, every time I see like a Keith Hernandez, I'm like, just like, I mean, even watching the Dodgers games, I hear Vin say, "Little roller up along first." I start like convulsing a little bit, and it's just like, but it was good to see them when they were doing the big celebration on Saturday. The Dodgers come in and just put on a homer show and go 9-1.
And having to Chase Utley just
2 bombs. I know, that's
dominate
unbelievable.
that game. Yeah, just dominate that game.
That's like, it's like right when you don't think Chase Utley can prove any more valuable, he goes ahead and obviously takes out Tejada last year, and that induces Syndergaard to throw at him. He throws behind him. He gets ejected in the third inning.
Syndergaard's ejection, right or wrong?
Wrong. I don't agree with it.
I was wrong. It should be a warning.
Yeah.
And especially where it didn't hit him. It should be a warning, and then if all right, go ahead and hit him, then he gets run. But
I disagree with you both.
You thought he should have
Here's
been
the
run?
thing. All these fights start. Look at the one in Texas, too. I mean, it's all this festering stuff from last year, the slide from last year. Now we're going to fight about it. And Texas was different because it was on the bases. But it's all this festering stuff that you know is happening, and the umpires know is happening. So the second you get an inkling of it, run them. If you think it's intentional, run them, and it nips it in the bud. And did it not nip it in the bud?
Oh, it nipped it. Yeah, because they didn't even try to do anything in Utley.
Because here's the thing. Here's what happens. So if Syndergaard throws it Utley and gets a warning, then the next inning, the Dodgers are going to be like, you can't throw it our guy. We're going to throw it yours. But the Dodgers pitcher gets run because it's after the warning.
Yeah.
And so the Dodgers get punished because Syndergaard started it. I'm a fan of running the guy who started the problem. And that's Syndergaard in this case.
Make a good point.
And Terry Collins has to come out and defend his guy and yell and scream and get run too. And that's fine. I mean, that's part of the game and it's goofy. But if you're going to do it, like the players and the umpires have to get on the same page. But if you're going to do it, if the umpire believes it's intentional, which he has the power to do, don't be afraid to run these guys right away because you nip it in the bud immediately.
Why didn't the Mets handle it on Friday? I don't understand.
I actually think that was a strategic move on Saturday.
Yeah.
To be like, oh look, we left Utley alone Friday night to try to get him on Saturday. I actually think that was the plan.
Look at the Rangers and the Blue Jays. The Rangers handled it on the final day of the last time they were going to play this year, which, excuse my language, is a bitch move.
Oh, wicked bitch move.
The Mets almost did the same
And
thing.
that's what John Gibbons said. But they didn't. They didn't wait for the last game. I could almost understand that logic. It's either you get away right away, or if it is your last thing and you're going to run for the hills, like those
maybe
guys.
Syndergaard was the one who said he wants him.
Yeah, and Syndergaard throws the hardest, so it says...
And he is the new ace.
Yeah.
It's maybe it's...
It's something he
Well, yeah,
wants to
because
take on.
Matt Harvey's going to get run out of town there pretty soon.
Yeah. But no, I mean, probably right to run him, and then Chase Utley with the, Chase Utley who isn't very productive, doesn't do very much. It's like he's still got enough to, answer.
To hit two bombs, it was like he went in the Wayback Machine. It was like 0-3 all of a sudden.
In that series, he had more RBIs than he had all year. He tied how many RBIs he had for the season in this series against the Mets alone.
What did he have?
He had 9 RBIs in this series. He had 5 Saturday and 4 Friday.
And what's he got for the year? Like 12 RBIs?
19.
There's 19.
Yes.
So,
But still, he may be the team's MVP to this point because I didn't think he was getting anything. When you look at this tean, he's been really consistent.
Do you know about Clayton?
Oh, well, obviously Clayton. Yeah, obviously Clayton. But I think of MVP, I think of an everyday player. But I mean, because coming into the year, it was like, all right, who's going to hit leadoff? They don't really have a leadoff guy. He has solidified that position. He's played solid D for a man of his tender age. And, he's like, you'd see him on those base paths?
yeah.
It's like, man.
When he went first to third today.
Wow.
I was like, whoa, look at him go.
Look at this guy. He's got some juice now. I don't know, getting thrown behind. He's, getting fired up.
What I love is that his expression never changes. Gets thrown behind, hits a home run, it's the same expression on his face. Doesn't matter. He's just one of those pros.
Corey Seager should be taking notes.
And that was a home run bonanza because Agon's in that game goes 4 hits, including a bomb. Kendrick has a bomb. Seager has a bomb to go with Utley's 2. That was the first time all year the Dodgers hit 5 homers in a game.
And that's a tough place to hit a bomb. Citi Field is a hell of a pitcher's park.
Yeah, because they moved the did they move him in a few years ago? Because they were deeper. Yeah, so they moved him a little bit in, but
It's like Petco.
Seager had a hell of an at-bat today in that top of that 9th, where he was down 1-2 and worked the count and drew the walk.
All right, so that
this
opens
kid's
up a
well
good
beyond
question.
his years.
Who's your favorite Dodgers kid? Peterson, Seager, Trace Thompson. Who's your favorite youngster?
Seager.
It's got to be Seager, but he knows how much I love Trace Thompson.
I love Trace Thompson, actually.
I saw Trace Thompson in 2011 in a Sally League in Kannapolis with the White Sox. He was with the White Sox.
Oh, Kannapolis. Which game was it?
No, I mean all season. I watched that whole season in Kannapolis. That guy hit about 215 in about 550 plate appearances and must have struck out 130 times. Look it up. I don't know what the exact numbers are. He was striking out he struck out every goddamn day. His swing was so long. He was so athletic, but so long and so slow and so methodical to the ball that it was like, there's no way this guy ever works. In 2 years, fast forward, and he's in AAA with Charlotte Knights, still in the White Sox organization, gets traded here, and he's totally a different player. I mean, that's development. Part of that is like, oh, no crap, it's development. But that dude went from being so long to hitting major league pitching right away.
But he's still got a pretty majestic swing.
He does, and he's gonna slump, and he's gonna, he's not gonna hit 300 all year. But that's the guy I'm most impressed with, only because having seen so much of him 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, whatever, and being so decidedly unimpressed with him, thinking it was too long and it was too much. How much he's changed in a couple seasons.
He's dinged up too, right?
Right now.
Is he right now?
He is 100% now. They said he was available today off the bench if need be.
Okay.
I'm impressed with that guy. I'm still low on Jock. I know he's having a good year or whatever, but to be honest, Jock's
He's
hitting.
put forth better at bats this year than he did last year, especially in that second
And he's
half
hitting
last
like
year.
240 or whatever right now. And with his power and with his speed, even though the Dodgers don't let him steal bases, which is whatever.
They don't let anyone steal bases, though.
Which is a bad move.
I
mean,
think,
it's-
what are they, in single digits with steals? I think they're
let
like got
me
9.
look. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They got 14.
14.
In how many games
That's
are we
worse
now?
than the
We're over
NL.
50 games?
We're either at
52
Yeah,
games?
52 games.
That's just ridiculous.
And the game has changed. Like, I know you don't steal as many bases as you used to. Like, the game's, this isn't Vince Coleman we're talking about.
Right.
But even so, like, when you have a guy, Jock is legitimately fast. When you have a guy like that, like, get him in motion a little bit, at least to cause problems for a pitcher. At least to cause hit and run problems.
Yeah, at least to make them think about it. Just so they have to think, oh, I might have to watch this guy on first.
Yeah.
Like, just if nothing else for that reason.
And that's the thing. I mean, look how much speed. The thing speed does. Speed will steal you bases, and the fastest guys will get 50 or 60 or whatever D. Gordon and some of these guys get, and that's fine. But speed does the biggest thing.
Gets in the pitcher's head.
It gets in the pitcher's head, and when you have Jock on and whoever up, Trace Thompson, Adrian Gonzalez, it doesn't matter. When you have anybody up with just a little bit of pop, a pitcher gets in his head about Jock and leaves a pitch a couple inches over the plate, and you got to double in the gap and a run, as opposed to a double play or whatever.
See ya. Lose it.
So
Lose it,
how many
Jock.
how many more runs over the course of a year can you get doing that just by having that option on the table?
And they need to manufacture runs so badly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
They've had such I want to say prolonged slumps, but they've had stretches where the bats haven't been going.
Yeah.
So there has been that opportunity.
Yeah.
it
So
seems.
why not try to jumpstart the offense? Like, why not try to do that? That's what I never understood last year was when they struggled to score runs, why not you try to jumpstart it? Run guys. Puig has speed. Peterson has speed. Thompson has speed now. Let these guys run a little bit just to see what happens. If you don't score, you don't score. You weren't scoring anyway, so it really doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
What's your take on Puig?
I wanted to trade him for the Stanton when that rumor came out. The day that rumor came out, I wanted that trade to happen. I never
What's your take on Puig in 2016? Because we're not trading him for Guillermo Stanton.
I think Puig.
Giancarlo Stanton.
I think
I still
Puig
call him Mike.
Puig is ultimately a victim of his first year in the sense that it was so good. Everybody's expectations got huge, and everybody said this guy's going to blow up, and he's an MVP, and he's this and that. He's not that, but he's a very, very good player. You just have to put him in the category that he's in.
Right.
He's not going to probably hit fourth for you and hit 30 bombs and hit 315 and do whatever he did that first summer. Those first 3 months were insane, and then part of the next year. But he's not doing great right now. But there's a happy medium I think that he falls into, and with his tools and with his athleticism, I'm really loath to give up on this guy. Unless you got a haul. I mean, if you got a haul back, trade him. But I'm really loath to give up a guy like this because he's so strong and he's so fast and he's got such a good arm that if he puts it together a little bit, man, he's going to burn the hell out of you.
Yeah.
And that's one of those guys you will look at if you trade him, and you'll look like 4 or 5 years later and say, what the hell were we thinking?
Right.
Like, what did he do in this new organization that he couldn't do with us, and why don't we have this guy?
Yeah.
It's
the closest I think I've seen to Bo Jackson. Since
that's the
Bo.
thing. It's those kind of tools, and the Dodgers. The Dodgers need to look at. The factor for him, and we've talked about it, is Juan Uribe. When Juan Uribe was here, Puig was more focused. Uribe was like, I'm not going to take your BS, man. This is how you play baseball. Adrian Gonzalez has the credentials to do that, but Adrian Gonzalez is not the same rah-rah talker that Uribe was. And Adrian Gonzalez doesn't want to babysit Puig.
Yeah.
So
he's been out. I mean, I think they went fishing right up in Canada, and they did that down in Mexico in the preseason. So they've been buddy around. But I don't think he's that
He's not
type
that
of
guy.
mentor stuff. I think he's more of a guy like if Puig says no, I'm not going to do that. Egon's would be like, oh, okay, he's big.
No, I don't. I don't think
actually
that.
think Aegon would just be like fine and walk away.
I don't think. I think if Puig, in a hypothetical situation, if Puig ever talked back, I think Aegon's going to assert himself. He's a leader. But I'm saying that Aegon every day isn't going to be like, "Come on, Puig, let's go." You know, it's not that kind of thing. And Uribe was goofier. Uribe was so much funnier that Uribe is going to mess with him a little bit. And then when Puig does something funny, Uribe is going to knock him on the head and be like, "You're an idiot," you know. And that's the way that got through to Puig for a while. And now, obviously, you know, Uribe hadn't been here for a while. So
Uribe, we can probably acquire him, no problem. We'll bring in another guy that can play third base. Why not?
Maybe you look
Turner's
at
only hitting 230. I mean, who knows?
maybe you look at I mean, if you're really invested, and I don't know, you know, maybe you invest resources elsewhere, but maybe you look at like a special assistant to the general manager, which is always a former player who just sits in the dugout and holds court. Maybe you look at a guy that would mesh with Puig, and you say, what kind of a former player can we get in that kind of a role that can just rein in Puig enough on the field to do whatever and help him make adjustments and whatever, because his tools are insane.
But his biggest issue is actually in any high leverage situation, he's terrible.
Yeah. But why is that? Why is that with his tools that are insane? There's something mentally, psychologically, approach-wise that doesn't connect.
Because he's trying to, you can see it. He's trying to, because I go to a lot of games, you know, he's trying to hit a home run. Every time it's a high leverage situation, he's swinging for the fence instead of just swinging to hit the ball.
Yeah.
He's taking that, you know, his big arms, that mighty swing, and he strikes out on 3 pitches.
Yeah, and it seemed like early in the season, like the first 2 weeks, he was taking the ball the other way. I mean, that's why he was hitting 350 after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But you do have to get in that situation, especially as a young player, because he's still only, 25, where you get 2 strikes, you got to shorten up that swing and take that base hit the other way. I mean, you just got to do that. I mean, that's baseball. That's smart baseball. I thought Dave Roberts was going to be great for Puig. I was expecting a big year from him. So,
although I liked when he benched him. It actually seemed to kind of sit with him a little bit because he actually had a good game that next game when he came out from the benching last week.
Yeah, because they benched him because he hit a rocket right off the wall and he didn't run out and only got a single.
But those are the kind of things. And if you after reading so much about Puig and where he came from and his background, Puig is not like most people. The life that he lived growing up is. I mean, you guys have read the stuff, I assume.
Oh, yeah.
It's insane. So when you come from that, you're not, you know, Aegon grew up in San Diego. You know, Dave Roberts, I don't know where Dave Roberts grew up, but he grew up, you know.
He went to UCLA.
Yeah, it's a different environment. Chase Utley went to UCLA. These guys, you can mentor Puig and you can go, hey, man, when you hit a ball off the wall, you got to run. But that saying it and culturally kind of getting to him are two different things.
Yeah, of course.
And if you have somebody who understands even a little bit how he grew up, how he was kind of the formative years of his life. I mean, not to get too deep on this, but I really think this is part of what it is.
Oh, definitely.
If you have somebody who kind of looks at that with him, like Uribe probably did a very good job of doing. You can get to him in a different way. And instead of saying, hey, man, you hit a ball off the wall, you got to run, you approach that differently. And you're like, dude, what do you think? Whatever's going to work for him, it can't just be a lecture. Right. Because that's obviously, you know.
Yeah, well, lectures, I mean, and I think that's generation thing. Lectures. Kids today don't want to hear lectures. They don't. You know, everything's so
kids today
want to have it now. They can't sit through lectures anymore, and I don't think he wants to hear it. I mean, he's probably been lectured the whole time he's been here. He doesn't want to hear another lecture from somebody. I think he's right. You gotta have someone who can actually relate to him to get through to him. I think it's the only way.
Yeah,
definitely.
Juan Uribe, MVP 2013.
Is Juan Uribe a countryman of his? Is he from
no,
Venezuela?
Uribe's
Puig's Venezuelan. Oh, Cuban.
Puig's Cuban.
And Uribe's Venezuelan.
Dominican. Uribe's
Okay.
Dominican. But again, I mean, it's all kind of Latin American baseball culture.
Right.
And Cuba's another level because of, you know, until it opened up this year or whatever.
Right.
Because of all that. But it's still that kind of Latin American baseball culture. And Aegon doesn't know it. Aegon is Mexican, which is a little bit different than the islands.
Right.
And he's also was American born and then he grew up in Mexico. Yeah. So he doesn't have the same experience, even if he has the same language.
Yeah, he was technically born in Chula Vista, right?
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah.
So
and played for both little leagues. Played across the border and played here.
There you go.
When he was growing up.
So and you know, Aegon or any Spanish speaker is huge because you can communicate with Puig, but it's a different thing to communicate and not to be culturally aware. I don't know. I mean, not to make Puig like the other because he's so different. He's from Cuba, but man, that dude. His upbringing was so different.
He is kind of the other. I mean, those guys didn't invite him to live with them, you know? I mean, they got living at that house. We got Jock, Sega, Trace Thompson.
Turner?
I think maybe Guerrero.
Really?
And one other young guy. I don't think it's Turner.
Guerrero lives in the house with those
I
three?
think so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What's he?
It's definitely those top three, and then
Yeah.
I think there's two other guys that maybe aren't with the team or like.
And Guerrero's due back soon too, I believe, because he has to be on the major league roster when he comes back.
I'm so lukewarm about Guerrero. But we were talking about the Red Sox show earlier about these Cuban guys. The Dodgers sign them left and right, so when one busts, whatever.
Right.
You know, what do you owe Guerrero? 28 million total? Big deal. You know, that's chump change.
Especially
We
with
only
the
owe
Dodgers.
Puig 26 million total.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Something like that,
if
yeah.
these guys bust, I mean, the risk is relatively low compared to, you know, if Kershaw forgets how to throw a baseball this week, you're in some trouble for the next few years. But if you know, if Puig doesn't work out or Guerrero doesn't work out, or if one of the two does work out, you're like, hey, we got it made. We went 1 out of 2 there.
One thing we've kind of bandied about also this year, it'd be interesting to get your take on it, is like Kershaw is up, I think, after 2020, and he'll be like 32 or something.
How old is he now? 27?
Are they going to re-sign him?
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Not only is he generational, he is, I think, lifetime Dodger.
Yeah. But what's it going to take?
Yeah, because they won't get. I'm convinced this management won't give him a 7-year deal.
At 32, you'd be surprised.
7 years, 350 million?
No, because 32 is a little over the prime, but it also depends on baseball contracts are going to be so different in 4 years. You know, they're going to be, look at 4 years ago. Look at contracts guys were signing 4 years ago, and then look at what, like, David Price just got. Could you imagine that 4 years ago?
Yeah.
You know, do what Bryce Harper's about to get. Bryce Harper's probably going to get $500 million.
Right.
That's unheard of a couple years ago. I've heard people talking about that they should legitimately offer Bryce Harper a small ownership stake. That's how much value we're talking about here,
Right.
which is insane, but that's the kind of money we're starting to talk about. So Kershaw's not going to get that because he's at 32 or 33 or whatever. But I think he's a lifetime Dodger, and I think it'd be the biggest mistake for them from a PR perspective. Like the Lakers got stuck with Kobe almost. Like you cannot give this guy up. Like this is your guy. This is Sandy Koufax. This is Fernando Valenzuela. Had he lasted even long, you know. This is Don Drysdale. This is whatever. This is a guy that when you think of him, you think of Dodgers, and vice versa.
It just worries me because I don't trust this upper management with long-term deals. I mean,
Well-
I agreed with Greinke. The 6 years was too much.
Yeah.
I agreed with that. But see, with Kershaw, I think, yes, I would pay him till he was 38. Because I think he can be a Tom Glavine type guy when he gets older. He loses a little bit on the fastball, but he throws 5 other pitches on top of that.
The cool thing
And
about
he's so
Kershaw,
sound fundamentally.
Yeah.
that's the thing, and he's not actually as reliant on the fastball as maybe we assume he is. He'll work 92. He doesn't work 96 miles. He'll touch it all the time, but he's not working at 96, 97 miles an hour. So what he loses from 92 to 90 or something, you know, if he goes to 87, that's a big difference. But if he goes from 92 to 90 and he still has his other pitches, this dude's just going to keep pitching like he has been.
And if he's painted
You know?
on the black, it can be 88.
That's exactly.
And he seems to learn a new pitch every year, which is what I loved about him from the beginning. He seems to learn how to throw another pitch. Like, you know, it was the curve at one time, and then he works in the slider now. He's working on changeups. He's working on, you know, he always seems to pick up new weapons in his arsenal, which it's one of those guys where you're like, this guy's dedicated to, I'm going to be the best there is.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I always appreciate about him, is like you can see the dedication there.
He'll get there. He'll never be, you know, take any of the major baseball records probably just because this is the way that starters go now. You pitch less games, you pitch less innings, you don't get as many wins.
He's got a shot. He's got a shot at 300 wins.
That's a good question. He might be the last one. I mean, there's another group, like if Syndergaard or somebody plays forever, then sure.
Rick Porcello.
But yeah, right. But I mean, Tim Hudson just
actually
retired.
like 100 wins.
Tim Hudson played forever, and didn't he just retire? And he had didn't he have like 190 wins or something? It was like that guy played
And he was
forever.
and he was on good teams.
I want to say he was like in the 230 range.
I don't think he was that. I'm going to look it up
No?
right now. There's no way he was that high.
But he was
But the point is, he's lower than you think.
Yeah.
It's these guys just. It's not going to happen the same. The 300 wins is no longer, or should be no longer, the Hall of Fame benchmark.
It should be 250.
No, but I agree that it just. I also agree that it shouldn't automatically put you in the Hall of Fame.
Well,
Look at
if
somebody.
you get it these years with the 5-man
Well, these
rotation,
years-
But take someone like Don Sutton who pitched for like 25 years.
Dude,
and won
I was
300
literally
games.
just talking to somebody about Don Sutton. He went like 300 and 250.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it's like good, but you know,
But how many years did he pitch?
he pitched forever.
I saw him pitch as a kid. Like my dad saw him pitch as a kid. And like this guy pitched
Right,
forever.
Hudson is 222 and 133.
yeah.
And he was on perennial All-Star teams. So he was on good teams.
Oakland
that,
and the Giants,
that
absolutely.
scored. And he was on the
And the
Braves when they
Braves.
were good.
Yeah.
So
By the way, this is neither here nor there, but now that you're speaking of Don Sutton, I assume you guys have seen the Time Warner Cable Sportsnet commercial where they talk to Maury Wills. They have like the Don Sutton bobblehead night or whatever it is coming up at Dodger Stadium. And they talk to Maury Wills about Don Sutton, and they must have asked off camera, like, what's your favorite Don Sutton memory? And Maury Wills goes, it was 66 or whatever the year was. He's like, and Sutton's a rookie. And he's in the 7th inning, and he's got a couple guys on. He's getting into trouble. And I decide that I'm going to jog in from shortstop. So I jog in, and I'm like, hey, man, you okay? And Sutton turns around and goes, what the hell do you want? And Maury's like, I'm like, whoa, nothing. And I jog back to shortstop. And that's when I knew the kid was going to be all right. And like the first time I heard that, I was like, that's kind of cute. Like Don Sutton's like competitor and stuff. Yeah. And the second time I watched it, I was like, wait a second. This is a commercial about Don Sutton, and this is the best story they could find about this guy. Right. Like, was this guy the biggest jerk? The best story they could find is take a Hall of Fame veteran and Maury Wills and be like, Don Sutton disrespected you on the field.
And wasn't he an MVP by this point?
Yes.
Maury Wills?
Maury Wills won an MVP. He would ever go to the Hall of Fame. Yeah. He was like 15 years into his own career. It was like, wait a second. The nicest Don Sutton story you have is disrespecting Maury Wills.
The nicest thing I could say about Don Sutton is he wins 52 out of every 100 stops.
That's pretty much it. Anyways, that's
decisions. Sorry, decisions.
The good thing is Kershaw's a great guy by all accounts. So
the greatest guy Dodger I ever met when I was a kid, Mike Scioscia, was the nicest guy.
Lumpy.
Met him a couple times, was always super nice, took pictures with everyone, signed autographs for everybody, never, always smiling, never complained. Scioscia was always a super nice guy.
Man, I got a tip
Catchers
for you.
are the most down to
I
earth.
was just going to say that catchers are the most down to earth. They're the most well spoken. They're the most thoughtful, and they're the most intelligent because they deal with both sides of the game. Every time I interview guys, every time I go to a new team to talk to guys if I'm on a different beat or whatever, I go right for the catcher. Because they are the best. They're just the best all around. They're the most mature dudes. If you're an autograph seeker or something, where you got kids who want autographs and you've never done the autograph thing, go to catchers. Like, seek out catchers. Backup catchers are just salt of the earth every single time.
Good, because I've really been pining away this year for an Austin Bonds autograph.
Do you want a Dustin Garneau autograph in Colorado? Man, I'm telling you, the catchers are just the top of the world because they deal with everybody. They deal with the coaches all the time, the pitchers all the time, and other hitters. So they've got to be like...
And they tend to make the best managers. Boshi, Scioscia.
That's true.
Absolutely.
Wasn't Yost a catcher? Was Yost a catcher? Or no, he was a relief pitcher, right? Can't
That's a
remember
good
what he was.
question. I don't know. I thought he was a third baseman. Bob Guerin.
Sure.
He was a manager, and now he's the bench coach. He's a catcher.
Okay. Bob
Anything
Guerin.
Where did you pull that one from?
I pulled it out because he's on the Dodgers coaching staff. That's all.
I could pull out Kevin Kennedy. He used to do the Dodgers, after show and was your manager, Red Sox manager there for a while.
Mid-90s.
Vin Scully. How's he doing? Thoughts on him? Have you guys caught Sportsnet enough to see him in home games?
Yes. Yes. Well, a little bit for me. Because unfortunately we have DirecTV. I have to go to a bar to watch. I do go.
But Vin's been great, and I've been listening to him on the radio too. He's just like... He's awesome.
I enjoy the radio. I still love listening to him on the radio. That's my favorite.
Yeah. He's
the best to ever do.
I mean, yeah, what do you say?
Yeah.
What do you say?
We got to get like a Scully bobblehead in here or something to
I think I have one.
liven it up.
Yeah, I think I have one.
There you go.
Might have to be
I think I almost have every bobblehead.
Is your thing about livening it up?
Set dressing.
Your set dressing idea that bobbleheads liven up the show.
Remember our bobbleheads from last year?
Man,
I think they got lost at the old place.
You've been telling this to me for 14
That was Don Drysdale and
months.
Maury Wills. It was a good one.
Oh,
It didn't make it from the last
Not Don
place.
Sutton? Do you think Don Sutton had something to do with the Maury Wills bobblehead?
I have a Don Sutton bobblehead from a couple years ago.
There you go.
Do we want to look ahead to the next week here?
I mean,
Briefly before
really,
we have to go?
it's just the Cubs. I mean, it's not just the Cubs, but the Cubs are the big one.
This is quite a stretch. I mean, this New York Mets then Cubs stretch. This is they're a really good benchmark for them, and they're off to a good start, taking 2 out of 3.
But again, let's lower expectations to the bottom. If you get swept in Chicago, you had a 2-4 road trip against the 2 best teams in the National League, or 2 of the 3 with San Francisco. I'll take that any day of the week if you can tread water, sweep Cincinnati ahead of it, and then win at home after it.
Yeah, because we get the Rockies here next weekend.
Don't
they have
sleep
been
on the
playing better.
Rockies.
They have been playing better
Rockies
at
been
home.
sleeping. Rockies been playing well, but no, the Dodgers at home should take care of the Rockies. Should take care of everybody else in the National League besides the Giants, and we'll get to that when that comes up. But I think at worst a 2-4 road trip, a 3-3. If you take one in Chicago, you're sitting really pretty.
And who they got after the Cubs?
That's a good question.
No
I don't
big
look to
deal.
June yet
I like that. I like that.
because the Rockies are midweek next week.
Yeah.
so it's somebody before that.
They're still on the road, aren't they? Can't remember now. I'm drawing a blank.
All that matters is the Cubs. That's a big series.
You guys will be talking about it next week.
We will. And they're doable. Listen, the Rockies early in the season took 2 or 3 in Chicago from the Cubs. So if they can do it, the Dodgers can do it if you play good baseball. The question is, are you going to do that?
This is key.
And you can get situational hitting.
Well, it seems like they got Agons going now, and Howie Kendrick showing signs of life, and
Seager's still solid at 275 right now. He's at 275.
the young
right now.
kids have been doing good.
Yeah.
Just getting these old timers consistently hitting. Turner now too, hopefully. So we'll see.
All right, guys, that's it this week. We'll be back next week.
love it.
Twitter handles. You don't have a Twitter.
No.
Twitter?
Mine is GERSH13.
There you go.
That's it. What's yours?
I'm at Bobby DeMuro. I think I'm going to Rancho this week for some prospect reporting.
I love that. Bring back some stories.
I know I'm going to Inland to see the Angels guys, but the Angels system is...
The Cuban pitcher's in single A, right? The Cuban pitcher that died?
Sierra?
Yeah. Isn't he down in
I
single A?
believe he's in Rancho. I haven't seen Rancho yet this year. I'll be interested to see him. But Spores is there and Grant Holmes. So they got some good prospects there. We'll be back next Sunday for Dodgers Rap 360 in the meantime. So tweet us if you got questions. That's it. Good night. Have a wonderful week. Well, happy Memorial Day to everybody. Enjoy the 3rd day off. Enjoy the important Memorial Day. And we'll see you guys in 7 days.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.